Prequel or pre-approval? Welcome to the Bringing You Home podcast. We're a group of mortgage professionals with no fame and no egos. We do, however, bring 55 plus years of combined mortgage experience and a strong desire to help everyone reach the American dream of a home ownership. All of this while having fun, keeping it simple, and most importantly, bringing you home.
Jennifer,
Yes.
are you already mad at me because we're starting this late?
Yes. I get here and I'm already mad at you just because you're not here.
Well, by now you should know I don't get here early enough to
I know.
anything. But I apologize. We are off to a very late start today.
Very late start.
But
My energy level is now like...
you know what? Maybe you
when
should
I get
dye your
here,
hair
it's
blue. Dye your hair blue. Get that attitude going.
Not again.
No, not again.
Not again.
I mean,
no.
I saw a picture. I mean,
Yeah.
you should just go with it.
I know I look great. I know.
Well, to be honest, I mean, this is our second podcast of the day, right?
Yes.
And the first
been a
one was
long
awesome,
day.
but it's been a long day.
Yeah.
But now we're getting to the good stuff, which is the Bringing You Home podcast, episode 4, correct? Cuatro?
I really don't know.
It's episode 4.
Okay. I'm glad you're keeping track.
Yeah, I'm glad that you care enough to know.
I do care. I'm here.
We have Josephine here in the WTF studios, and our social media expert. She's throwing me a peace sign or a gang sign, one or the other. And she's here to do some additional content for all our socials, so we're excited about that. Are you excited about that? Can you get happy? No?
That's my happy.
I mean, I know your Cowboys
No,
throttled.
let's not start with that right now.
But,
You know, my heart is still like
yeah, it's still broken.
recovering. Yeah.
It's still broken. I mean, you must be used to this by now,
I know.
right? Every year.
Yeah. I set myself up for disappointment.
It's okay. It's okay. Well, I know typically we do an office update, which we'll probably do later on. But I did want to give an update as to the podcast. Is that okay if I share?
Yeah.
Oh, look at you. You
Go
didn't know I
for
was
it.
going there, huh?
I don't even know what this update is.
Yeah, I'm going to share.
We
are getting a sign. We are going to get a sign that's going to go back here, or you can't see.
Right here.
Yeah, right there, right? And our social media expert, JoJo, is going to put that together. It only cost me one acai bowl, but I'm thankful for her and everything she does for us.
Pretty expensive.
And it was a pretty expensive bowl. But, all the content that you see on our socials is done and done and created by JoJo. And
yes.
so we're very appreciative. And she is
we are.
one of the other sisters, right?
Yep.
So last week they
The
met.
trio.
Last week they met Myra.
Yes.
This week they meet JoJo, although not on camera.
Right.
But so thank you, JoJo. I really do appreciate everything you do for us. But now let's get to a quick.
The market update.
So the purpose of this podcast is to really encourage our listeners to embark on home ownership, right? And I read an incredible stat maybe 2 minutes ago, but
It was that incredible.
our research department was a little slow to the game today. But I read an interesting stat that stated that rents had gone up. How much do you think it's gone up year over year as of September 1st, 2022? So September 1st, 2022 as opposed to September 1st, 2021.
Oh.
It's a good question, right?
Oh, yeah.
JoJo, you can yell something out if you want. 500%?
$500.
Oh, well, let's talk in percentages.
Percentages. I'm going to say like 7%.
I don't know how you always get so close on my stats, but it was an audience. She had no idea.
I really
did. Put
did.
that out there. I mean, she has no idea about anything, but definitely had no idea about that. It's actually 7.2%.
Oh my gosh, I was so close.
You were so close.
I'm a witch, honestly.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
I know everything.
You just kind of terrify me there. Anyhow, I guess now we know what you're going to be for Halloween. So yeah, 7.2%. That's a tremendous increase in rent year over year. So, and that's just 1 year, right? So if you have obviously if you have a lease, you're kind of stuck to that price unless there's an increase built into that. But this is why we push home ownership, right? Because instead of paying your landlord or some leasing company, in Orange County, Irvine Company owns everything. Instead of paying them, that equity, that extra money could go into building your equity. And again, we've talked about this over and over and over and over again, right? Building equity is going to allow you to leverage being a homeowner and allow you to obtain some opportunities, right? That otherwise you wouldn't. Quick story, I took an appointment yesterday, and I haven't taken an in-house appointment in guess how long.
Oh, it was in person?
It was in person,
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
I'm going to say 4 years.
20 years.
Oh, 20.
It's been 20 years since I took an in-house appointment. Maybe 22, actually, if I'm precise. And but it was one of my real estate agents, and I hadn't talked to him in a while, and he asked if I would do him a favor. He said, loan officers just aren't taking appointments at homes anymore. And I go, well, there's a lot of technology and things have changed. But he really had a client that was that wanted that face-to-face, and I had the opportunity to go in there. It was a 3.5 hour appointment, and typically those won't take that long. They tried to feed me, but I'm on a strict diet, acai bowl diet. So
didn't you have tacos?
Well, 2 tacos as a snack and appetizer, and an acai bowl. But and I'm really trying to stick to that because this weekend was rough. I ate a lot, but anyhow, so I was in this appointment, and it took so much convincing for this borrower to just take the next step. So we actually had a great conversation for about 3 hours and 15 minutes, just on the benefits of buying a home. Why should we buy a home? We're happy with our rent. Our mortgage payment's going to go up. And I showed him some stats on just how much equity they build in 9 years. I think we've talked about this in the past. I think it was close to almost $390,000 in equity if the trends continue. And so we were just kind of discussing. And my realtor's car got towed in the process.
Oh my God.
Which kind of sucks, but oh well. I mean, not oh well. I feel bad for him, but and so we continued talking, and he finally decided, okay, you can run my credit. And I'm like, oh, sweet. Step 1.
It only took 3 hours.
Only took 3 hours and 15 minutes to get to the point where 3 hours and 15 minutes and 5 bathroom breaks.
Oh, good.
And I'm old. And so we finally got to that point, and then I'm like, okay, this is why it's so important to run your credit, because now I can go ahead and pre-approve you as opposed to pre-qualify you. And I think that's what we want to talk about today.
Right.
We want to talk about the difference between a pre-approval and a pre-qualification. I could have pre-qualified that borrower, right, and his co-borrowers simply with the information that he gave me verbally, right?
Right.
And I could have taken his word at what his credit score. It just so happened that he said his credit score was not that great, that he had been declined for a home loan previously.
Oh, okay. So he was being realistic and honest.
Yeah, but
a lot of people be like, Credit Karma said my credit score was 800.
Right. But look, here's the funny part, right? So he tells, my credit's not good. I've been, told no for a mortgage.
Yeah.
And I go, well, I can't really pre-approve you. I can pre-qualify you and just give you an idea, but I can't pre-approve you. And again, we're going to go further into why a pre-approval, the differences between a pre-qual. But essentially, a pre-qual is without really reviewing documentation, without running credit report, or you might do one or the other, but it's not a very solid consideration of a borrower's ability to pay, right? So you're really kind of guessing somewhere.
Yeah.
So I ran his credit finally 3 hours and 15 minutes later. And guess what his credit score?
And you did it. Wait, you did it there?
I did it there, yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. What,
I'm sure they liked that also.
They did,
because they were able to see you.
They kept trying to feed me pupusas,
and should have said yes or brought some in.
What do you think that credit score was?
Darn. There's a lot of pressure because what if I get it wrong?
So good, right? So good.
I'm gonna say 700.
801.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I'm like, buddy, look, mi español no es muy bueno. My Spanish isn't that great, but your credit is excellent.
Excelente.
Right? There's no reason to do it, to not move forward, right? And there was no reason to not run your credit report. And his wife's was like 775. So they are phenomenal. They're in a phenomenal shape, credit-wise. Now it becomes a matter of income, right? And assets. And so and that's the difference, right? We are now able to go to the next step, to a pre-approval. So a pre-qualification is just a basic review of your documentation, your income documentation.
Without running any...
without running any underwriting engines such as DU or LP. Or sometimes you run those engines, but you don't have the corroborating documentation, right?
Gotcha.
So you're kind of taking them at their word. In this case, so he was like, now I finally got him to give me the credit report. Now it was the next part. How do I get you to actually complete the entire application and let me see your documentation? And now by now it was 10:15 at night, and
I was gonna say, are you gonna go back?
Well, so I said, look, here's a number you're gonna pre-qualify for, right? Here's a number based on everything you've told me. I'm gonna give you a number, and I had already been jotting down their income based on what she was telling me. He was telling me, and I said, okay, you're qualified for about $725,000, which sounds like a lot. Right, but he wants to buy in Orange County, and so 725, you can get something, but it's very limited. Right. So I said, look, let's take the next step and the agent was next to me, and the agent kept telling him, let's get a pre-approval. Let's get a pre-approval. So he finally said, okay, here's all my paperwork. So they gave me a La Superior shopping bag with all their documentation and brought it over to me.
They pulled that from the mattress, right? Like under the mattress where they store it.
I don't know, but they had everything ready. And they gave me their taxes from the last 5 years, or pay stubs for like...
Perfect. Everything you
6
need.
months.
Perfect.
I got bank statements, IAD. I mean, I got everything. So I have it, and I'm like, okay. So I said, I'm going to take this with me to the office, right? And I'm going to make copies, and then I'll bring it back to you. But the beauty of it is now I was able to actually, run my numbers...
Yes.
appropriately. So I reviewed all the documentation, and now instead of having a pre-qualification, I've been able to move that to a pre-approval.
Awesome.
Right? And now all of a sudden, instead of qualifying, what did I tell you? It was like 725, 730. They actually qualify for a little less.
Oh. At least it's realistic and accurate.
And the reason why is because she, the borrower was telling me that she worked 40 hours a week, and this was her, her income. And then the husband said, I'm making more money this year than last year. Well, he wasn't making more money than last year. And she wasn't working 40 hours according to her paycheck stuff because she had taken some personal days and stuff. So we have a different way of calculating the income, and it was less, as opposed to their hourly rates, which they had told me. And therein lies the importance of doing a pre-approval and reviewing all the documentation as opposed to doing a pre-qualification.
And now they can take that information and go shopping.
They can, yeah, right? And they'll not even that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But furthermore, now they know that for what they want, they need a cosigner.
Right.
And they've already sent me the information for the cosigner, but I'm doing a podcast, so I haven't been able to go complete that. But now they've put themselves in a really good position.
Right. And there's, like, on top of it, they really are giving you all that you need, right? Because it was just yesterday, and now today they gave you all the
they got excited, and
stuff.
they're like, right. That's after 3 hours and 15 minutes of chatting, right? But you know what? It's okay, because our job as loan originators, or anyone that's in the mortgage profession, is to educate people and make them feel comfortable, and make them feel like it's. I never push a borrower into doing something. I like to lead with, can you tell me what payment you're comfortable with? And that way, in the back of my mind, I always know, hey, yes, they may pre-approve for a little bit more than that, but they're comfortable here. So, we start looking at houses at that price as opposed to a higher price. Because let's be honest, a house at $700,000 looks a lot different than a house at $850,000.
Right.
And everybody wants a Taj Mahal. And once you look at the Taj Mahal, you don't want to go back and live in a non-Taj Mahal. I mean, it's just the reality of it, right? So. And that is why it's important to, not only that, furthermore, when you do a pre-approval, you've actually run it through either Desktop Underwriter or Loan Prospector, which are the the underwriting engines for Fannie and Freddie Mac. which are some of the largest holders of home loans. And everybody has to essentially do that. I mean, I'd say 95% of home loans go through that. The other non-QM loans are going through, bank statement loans and stuff they use a different underwriting system altogether, or underwriting criteria. However, now you've gone through those automated systems. So now we know, hey, I have a lot of confidence in my abilities, right? You may not have a lot of confidence in my abilities, but I have a lot of confidence in my abilities. And so I know that when I get a DU approval, I've calculated the income in a way that's going to be correct. My underwriters and my processor are going to agree with me. So I have like 99.9% certainty that their loan's going to go.
Right.
Because I have an approval.
Because of the approval.
Because of the pre-approval, sorry. Or the approval on DU. And so that's why it's important for me. Right now, I could do a pre-qual and make up numbers and still get an approval in there. But if it's made up and I haven't been able to corroborate it with their documentation, then it means nothing.
Right. And then you have to start the whole process again.
Right. And now, why does that translate into real estate, right? When you're buying a home, why is it important? Well, if you talk to real estate agents, and my fault, Jen, I was supposed to have a real estate agent join us today.
I had some good questions.
No, but my day just got away from me. But here's the main reason why a real estate agent appreciates that, right?
Tell me why.
When you make an offer on a house with a pre-qual, most competent real estate agents will go to their sellers and say, look, this is just a pre-qual. They haven't been fully vetted out. Now, if you come in with a pre-approval letter, right, from a reliable real estate or mortgage professional,
like yourself.
I hope so. But if you show up with a pre-approval, now there's some certainty to that. There's a certitude to that, right? So if you were selling your house, which one would you prefer?
The pre-approval.
As opposed to the pre-qualification.
Right.
Yeah. So the simplest, I was thinking about how to put this in a very simple term. And I think what I was able to come up with is if you had a box, two boxes. Underneath one box, you had $500 million. And underneath another box, you had $1 billion showing. Okay, so you could see the $1 billion, but you didn't know what was underneath the other box. Right. But they told you it was between $500,000 and $600,000. Which box are you going to take?
The billion.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
because it's a certain.
I could
because
see
there's
it,
certain,
yeah.
right? It's a certain, and that's the difference. Like on a pre-approval, there's certainty there.
Right.
Right. A pre-qual, yeah, you may qualify for $500,000 or $600,000, but who knows?
But you don't know what's under the box.
You don't know what's under the box because you know what comes up? Not working full time.
Oh yeah.
Child support payments on those pay stubs. Alimony on those pay stubs. COVID got in the way and they didn't work for 3 months. I mean, all kinds of things, right?
Right.
So really what I want to urge the audience is if you're looking to just start the process, have your mortgage professional or anyone in my office run your credit and get you a pre-approval. That is the best way to know where you're at and what your next steps are. And if you can do that, then we can begin the journey towards home ownership, right? So Jen needs to buy a house in 6 months, and she has yet to pre-qualify or pre-approve.
I need a pre-approval. Hello.
But at this point, I can't even get her to do that. So maybe when she gets her blue hair and she's ready to go, then maybe at that point. You showed me a picture of you with blue hair.
Okay, how many months in advance do you need the pre-approval?
So the pre-approval.
What do you suggest?
Well, I suggest getting pre-approved
right away.
If you have any idea or any thought of purchasing a house. The pre-approval is going to be good for about 90 days, maybe a little longer, depending on when you get all the stuff and when we ran the credit report. But 90 to 120 days. But things change, especially income in today's world. So I would say about 90 days, and then we want to continue to update those pay stubs to make sure that the income remains where it needs to be. But again, I think I'm encouraging everybody who's listening, all one right now inside here, but we've been getting some traction, right?
Yes.
So I encourage everybody to go get pre-approved, and if nothing else, just to get educated.
Right. That's what we're here for. Can I ask you something?
Sure. Before you give us the office update?
Yes.
All right.
Why didn't you just play the podcast for them? Save your 3 hours.
Well, here's the problem. my podcast doesn't have a Spanish transcript.
Oh.
And I know it doesn't appear that I speak Spanish, but I've been watching La Reina del Sur, and my Spanish is getting incredible.
It really is. Sometimes I'm surprised.
Like I'd be just like walking around the office and I'm talking in Spanish.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Yeah. I don't know why, but it's happening. Anyhow.
Okay, let's move on now. Office update. Okay. So for this week's office update, it really is all about you.
Yeah. Why?
Because Eliseo gave, I don't want to say a great class, but because I wasn't there, but he did give a marketing class, right? Was it a marketing class?
Yeah, it was marketing
to Laverne's foreign exchange students that are here in the building. So I thought that was pretty cool because it was like, what, 15 students?
Yeah, it was about 15 to 16 students.
And they were all foreign exchange students, right?
They were all from Portugal. I'm sorry, from Brazil. From Brazil. They spoke Portuguese, but yeah.
How did your class go? Yeah.
You know,
I mean, you can't speak Spanish, so I
wouldn't. So I can't take all the credit because one of our phenomenal loan officers also assisted me with that. Nora. Partly because I just needed someone to be there with me to get me moral support.
Were you nervous?
I was nervous, but once I started talking about my business, I don't know why. It's just easy for me to keep going.
I was going to say, I think you're such a great speaker.
Yeah.
No, you don't think so? I mean, during the meetings, you're like, awesome. You know exactly what to say, how to say it, everything.
I'm working on it. Hopefully this podcast is making me a little bit better too.
Were they asking you questions?
I did about 30 minutes on my own, and then we did some Q&A. It went about an hour and 15 minutes.
So they were asking questions because I seen a video and someone, like, there was a bunch of people on their phones.
They were very engaged, so I appreciate them being a nice crowd. But, you know, I appreciate you making it about me, but the reality is we could have talked about the fact that we have an ant infestation right now in here in the office. And then also yesterday, like my office was 120 degrees. There was no AC. Can you believe that?
I mean, I left before it got that hot. So. But the ants are back. I don't know if it's because we're on the first floor. I always see little lizards in here, the mosquitoes, spiders, ants. It's because we're on the first floor.
When there is a lizard in here.
Oh, and then this morning I saw a coyote in the parking lot.
Not the first time.
I know, but that's very scary.
When I saw the little lizard that I was about.
Our security guard doesn't do much, so
when I saw that lizard on my office, I was about that big, and I was yelling and screaming, and everybody had to come in and grab it and put it up. It was pretty embarrassing.
And then they cut the tail off, and it was still like wiggling. I was very scared.
Now Pete is going to be mad at us. All right, everybody. Jen, be in a better mood. See, this wasn't so bad.
Yeah, it was great.
It wasn't so bad. We got through it.
Yeah.
It's longer than we probably needed it to be.
Okay.
But hopefully it was some good information.
I was going to say, you gave some good information.
I hope so. Well, everybody, I'm going to let Jen share with you all our socials, but join us, please. Listen, we really want some engagement from you guys. So comment, and comment on all our socials that Josephine worked so hard for. Stay tuned for the sign. The sign is coming, I promise. This can't be a rinky-dink podcast.
It's getting better.
It's getting better. And stay tuned for next week's episode. I promise you it's going to be a very informative episode, and we're going to have a special guest.
Yes. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Bringing You Home Podcast.
Have a good one, everybody.
Thank you all for tuning in. Glad we were able to provide you with some useful information while bringing a little joy to your lives. Like, subscribe, and share on all social media platforms. We want to interact with you by answering your questions and having you as part of the community. We look forward to bringing you home.